Now, former Jemaah Islamiyah member Umar Patek has been released on parole after serving half his prison sentence in East Java. Indonesian media say he had undergone de-radicalization and must now follow a guided program to stay out of jail. Umar Patek was sentenced to 20 years in jail in June 2012 for his involvement in terror attacks, including the 2002 Bali bombing. Hisham Ali Zain, as he is officially known, was found guilty of making bombs that ripped through 2 Bali nightclubs. And for more insights, we're joined by Dr. Noor Huda Ismail, visiting fellow at S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Dr. Huda, great to have you here with us. First of all, Mr. Patek, considered one of Asia's most wanted terrorist suspects, and now he's been released on parole despite resistance from the victims' families and the Australian government. What do you make of this decision? Will it have any extreme implications on the country's security landscape?
First of all, thank you for having me. And this is a very legitimate question, especially in terms of how can we move forward from this release. We have to acknowledge that this is national decisions, and of course the Indonesian government will take pride, but they take pride as its own national identity. They will not listen to the foreign, let's say Australia that you mentioned, especially with the victim. However, regional government must take this issue super seriously. It is a wake-up call for all of us that the issue of terrorism will not go away anytime soon, especially the issue of a social integration of released terrorists. If you can, very unfortunate that even yesterday we witnessed also suicide bombing in Indonesia done by released terrorists. It suggests that the possibility of relapse or recidivism cases coming from terrorism case is still wide open in Indonesia. Statistically speaking, at least 10% out of a released terrorist will be relapsed. So assuming we have 1,000 released, so we will see, I think historically we see at least 100 known recidivists. This is not to mention undetected one, especially those changing rules. They are not directly involved in violence, but giving a direction, giving, let's say, new contact. And this is the challenge that not only the Indonesian government must deal with delicately, but also regional government. The case of Umar Patek is a clear example. He's Indonesian by nationality, but he is a Middle Eastern descent, and he married into Filipino. And then his action was inspired by international call. He was arrested in Pakistan, and he is a member of Jemaah Islamiyah, and the organization has attracted in the past people not only from Indonesia, but also from here in Singapore, Malaysia, also Philippines. It's a regional threat, and it's a global threat.
Dr. Huda, you also mentioned about yesterday's suicide attack in Bandung. Police have identified him as a convicted bomb maker, and you talked a little bit about him having a relapse as well. He was protesting against the country's controversial new criminal code. What does it say about the spread of conservative Islam in the country?
Yeah, I think this is a very ironic. The fact that the new regulation coming out has been seen by a lot of observers is the rise of conservatism in my country. But yet, for this terrorist group, there are some regulation that they are not feel comfortable, and they want to to show the protest using this kind of violence. But apparently, the method of political violence using suicide bombing as a tool still has some traction in the country, and especially I think it has to do also first with the release of new regulation, but also with the kill of new leader of ISIS. But the ISIS also the leader already asked all its supporters to pledge new allegiance, and this is part of we can also interpret the act as a demonstration, to show that there are still some ISIS cells in the country that are willing to listen or to take arm to support what the global ISIS has been calling.
And if you look at the official numbers, between the year 2000 and 2021, about 1,500 militants were released from prisons, and nearly 100 of them were recaptured in several attacks or for plotting attacks. What more can be done for the country's counter-terrorism initiatives, you think?
Yeah, I think this is something that I have been doing since 2008 when I established the Institute of International Peace Building, or we call it in Indonesia Yayasan Prasasti Berdamaian. We have been trying to engage what I call it non-traditional partner in PCVE, prevention counter violent extremism. We should not solely working with the security forces, which is very important, like the intelligence, the police, BNPT. They are playing important roles. Definitely, terrorism is security issue. But I think I've been pushing a lot that it is also about story of human security. Those who succumb to this ideology, they will suffer as human beings. They cannot relate each other. Those who follow with ideology, they will part of a social issue. So engaging non-traditional partner, let's say the communities, the clerics, the social minister, or the social minister, engage them in this process of social integration will be very critical. Especially there are cases where I've been working with those released terrorists. Their decision not to continue simply because they don't feel comfortable with their mother, for instance. They feel like a guilty not to become a good husband, or they want to, their priority have been changed. So I call these people as a credible voice to those who have been suffering, living in this peculiar ideology, and then renounce the violence, can be used as a credible voice to challenge the narrative of their whole group. But we can also use the voice of the family members who they are not directly involved in the violence, but they have become the victims of their family involvement in violence because they end up in jail, they are losing the opportunity to have a good life. So this is things that I think not only the Indonesian government but regional governments start to think, exploring non-traditional partner in this social integration process.
Thanks for speaking with us, Dr. Huda. We appreciate your insights. That was Dr. Noor Huda Ismail, visiting fellow at S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies.